Hello everyone. So this is a very interesting topic, green growth and sustainable development. And when we say green, we start thinking about, corporate social responsibility and some things like, something where we really need to do as a side of it. But I think it's being evolved quite further to that. So before I start this discussion, I will ask everyone to, each one of us to introduce themselves, that what they're doing and how they're contributing to this green growth and sustainable development. I'll start with myself. I'm Ankesh Kumar. So I work for Schneider Electric. So Schneider Electric is, we already been awarded as the most sustainable company with a corporate night, and sustainability is the core of our values because we are into energy management and industrial automation. So anything related to energy is about green. How you can make it more efficient, how you can make it more sustainable. So that's what we are into. So I'll just pass on to Sameer and Udit to please introduce themselves, and then we'll start this conversation.
Thank you. Namaskar. I am the wrong person on the right stage. I didn't know. Glorified kachra wala, plastic wala. Users, haters, lovers, kickers, plastics are here to stay. What is important is plastic waste management. I am Dr. Sameer Joshi. I have done my PhD in plastic waste management. Little small work. Was part of a team which created the Guinness record of the world's largest t-shirt from plastic waste in 2018. And I've been involved in this field for the last 7 to 8 years, learning, unlearning, relearning. And plastics, we have someone has coined a very nice sentence: plastics do not litter, people do. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Udit Methila. I run Building Energy India, where we focus on resource efficiency in buildings, primarily with a focus on energy, very similar to you, sir. And we try to bring architects to improve their designs by incorporating a lot of energy efficient measures and designing the building along with the climate and how to respond to the climate and the changing climate in which we are today. Along with that, we also design and construct sustainable buildings, and we work on water, air, various other resources that we also consume, and we try to advise the people, the end users, as to how they can improve their efficiency at the localized level as well. Thank you.
Okay, great. When I met Dr. Joshi today, first thing he told me, very recently there was a news of Prime Minister Narendra Modi was wearing a jacket which is made by recycled plastic. His jacket is also...
I'm just standing up. Not only am I wearing a recycled jacket, but I'm wearing shoes made from ocean plastics. And the best thing is these are Indian startups both. The Prime Minister wore the jacket. I was a small part of it, that startup gave the jacket to the Prime Minister. And this jacket is the prototype, and it is made from 12 1-liter plastic bottles. The Mumbai Indians uniform, that is also made from 33 recycled plastics bottles. So, if we are careful and not litter and make life better, it is by not littering. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's a great story, we always think plastic is an evil, but sometimes plastic can be useful as well. So I'll start this conversation, when we talk about green growth and sustainable development, it's sometimes to a lot of people it sounds like a jargon. So I just wanted to know, from both of you, when we say green growth, what comes in your mind? What do you think about green growth? What is the definition of green growth?
You first.
Sure. When I think about green growth, I think about the environment, I think about nature, I think about all the interactions that we have with our environment and how that can be more in line, in tune with nature's pace and nature's way of doing things.
Thank you. Plastics and green growth, very opposite facts. But this green growth in plastics, biodegradable plastics from nature. This is the new thing. Recycling. Then, plastics, how, I'm not here to promote plastics, though I'm from the plastic fraternity. See how plastics helped during the pandemic. We have to accept the fact that, plastics is not at all that bad, but, a balance has to be made. And when we are talking of the green growth story, we are talking of polymers. The new future is, a lot of materials coming together. So the green growth story has to be such that it involves a pragmatic view and also recognizing the fact that all materials have to coexist together and grow. As far as sustainability, sustainability is a very wicked word as such. Let me put you back to the pandemic time, when we heard about, let us save earth and all that was okay. Air became purer, water became cleaner. Nothing happened to Mother Earth. She sustained herself. So we have to recognize the fact that we do not have to save planet Earth. We have to save ourselves. And that is sustainability, making things easy for our better future rather than just complaining. That economy is, not greenwashing, but green growth. Thank you.
Yeah, so let me twist this question. Both of you spoke about, how being green or being more efficient or being more considerate is important. But at the same time, business is also important. Profit is also important. So when I say a word like green growth, it's not limited to being more responsible. Also, you have to run your business. You have to sell your stuff. You have to earn some money. So from that aspect, what are your thinking about being green, but at the same time having a growth which you already been having? So how you balance those, those trade-offs? So just if you can share some lights on that, at the end, business is all about profit. Otherwise, people will be jobless and there will be, there's not, the growth means about, how you are going to be, how you growing your money, at the same time being more efficient and more innovative and more, what do you say, the sustainable and all. So how you mix, how you think that you're going to mix these two?
Absolutely. I think one of the important things you mentioned there was the word balance. And finding a balance between, our economic greed to what we really want to be doing along with nature, which may not generate as many profits. And I think finding that niche is also something that's really important, where money is to be made, but at what cost, at what price? And somewhere over there, we also, even as individuals, even as consumers, not only in your job, but also at home, we need to also think about what is it that we play a role in creating these subscription mechanisms where we're constantly, creating demand for companies to create something that could be damaging or that process could be damaging. So I think that finding that balance is both the company's responsibility, but also the end user's responsibility. For example, if we decide to, pay a higher price for certain things that are going to be more eco-friendly or that are not going to damage the environment as much, then that does come on to the end user. For example, in Germany, when they shut down the coal power plants, they did have to increase their electric bills and their prices did go up. But in that way, the people are supporting that cause. And while the government takes the initiative and does things at an organizational level, there's also the individual who needs to be willing or ready to support that, to back that, to say, yes, I'll make the responsible choice I will pay that 10% extra or whatever it is in order to, create more demand for that. And then eventually, once that demand crosses a certain threshold, then everybody can get that at maybe the same or lower price even. But at this point, I think, especially in India, we are somewhere in between. We're slowly moving in that direction, but we can, leapfrog and get further if it's not only the companies or the government who's pushing it, but also the people driving that. Thank you.
Let me go back to the basics. Sustainability. All said and done, we can talk about sustainability only on a full stomach, not an empty stomach. There are efforts, there is money to be poured there. But on the other side, look at the startup ecosystem. People, planet, profit. These young startups, they're so passionate of what they do. The young kids here, they're so passionate for their cause. So money is important for everyone in life, but embracing that thought and that action is more important. And as like I said, we are evolving. We have learned, we have unlearned, and we have relearned. And accepting the fact that the green growth is the growth of tomorrow, where we need to conserve our resources, at the same time paying more, which will be there at the beginning, but over a time it will mature. So the green growth is going to be there, but we have to adapt, manage, and then act.
Yeah, so I'll just add to it. There are certain examples where industry has taken a very tough stance and gone for a green solutions, and they have benefited. Like they have benefited in terms of their cost, in terms of their efficiency. Like Levi's is a very great example where they started, making jeans out of plastic waste, and then Nike also, they if you see their shoes and everything, they put it in their thing, like how it's not greenwashing. Like literally, they really thought about recycle, and then they realized that sometimes it was when it started, it was like, okay, let's save the planet and let's save the earth. But at the same time, it is adding to their business value. They're saying, what, if we have some process or some mechanism to collect the waste and then reuse it, it really helps. So my next question is about, I think we consume a lot. Like the more we move into the economic value chain, we start consuming a lot. Like we like to have things which actually is not needed. So it's a very paradox, how, I just wanted to know your opinion when we are talking about green growth and sustainable development, and each organization, like I would I'm from Schneider Electric. I would like my customers to have buy more UPS and buy more power switch gears, more switches and everything and all. Everything is about more consumption. So when you're thinking about green growth, at the same time, you also have to believe that, how we can control consumption and how we can control the production, which is a very, very alien subject to any business. Like if you ask any business, today, if I made 100,000 units of this, the next year projection should be 120,000 units. Nobody will say that, I want to reduce my, my production, and I really want my customer to reduce the consumption. iPhone, when iPhone was launched, it used to come like every 2 years or 3 years. Now it literally is coming every year. And they put some software update and everything, which you have no choice. After if your phone is 3 or 4 years old, you have to literally either go for a new phone. So I just wanted to understand that what is your opinion about how, keeping green growth and sustainable development in mind, how we can think about production and consumption as an organization or as a consumer.
A small joke, life was much, much better when apples and blackberries were fruits and not phones. How, things have changed. And, saying about, how the Apple software and the Apple models keep on coming. You know, in Europe, they have come up with a concept which is also going to come in India, the right to repair. And they have made it compulsory now that the phones have to be in use, rather the softwares, the hardware, everything has to be there for at least 6 to 7 years. In India, we are also talking of chargers, uniform C type. So this is part of the growth story. And one more, you know, this was an amazing thing for me to hear. I was with some Norway people, and you know, our children in the age group of 14, 15, and they're just out of 10th standard, and they want everything. They want the best of phone. They want the best of clothes. I was shocked what the Norway, you know, one person from Norway told me. The kids in Norway, 14 to 15 years, they are saying we don't want new clothes. We don't want, because it is going to be after use, they are going to be thrown away. So look at the mindset changing. The mindset of the young future citizens of India, and they are with that mindset. So that is certainly a positive thought to this. Of course, balancing the nature and making a business is very important. And you know, a simple example, like you are in Schneider, you know a lot of solar and such, you know, less consuming power, less efficient devices, they are being made. So that is part of the green growth stories. So, you know, we make a whole hoopla la 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 on, you know, big things, but let us not forget the simple things that add and contribute to the green growth.
Thank you. Yes, I think most definitely there are two sides to this. There is one side where, you know, originally, even as Indians, we didn't have that much of a demand for things that were damaging to the environment, because as a largely agrarian population, the respect for that nature was instilled, and you would constantly take from it and give back to it in a balanced way. Whereas there is an increase in our urban population which has happened, and that increase is where there is a large amount of waste, a large amount of unnecessary utilization of resources. And yes, from the production side, from the company side, you know, there are a lot of new materials that have come in because they are going to reduce their manufacturing costs or their production costs. But at the same time, that question of how much is the damage and quantifying that damage to the environment is something that is, you know, more and more becoming more stringent. And that's where we're also understanding it's not just for the short term, it's not just for this generation that we're looking to create profit, but we're looking to create profit in a sustainable way, which is going to last for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 generations. And to measure it in that way, to quantify that impact of how much negative or how much positive impact am I creating, not just reducing my negative impact, but compensating for it completely. And finding ways to do that, finding replacements in terms of materials to do that, and create products that are maybe biodegradable or recyclable. So I think there is, you know, we've been in a very good place as an agrarian community, and then as we've moved more towards the urban, we've kind of, you know, pushed that balance in the country. And slowly, we're now realizing that this effect is going to come back to us. It is going to negatively impact us very soon. And so we are now trying to correct those, you know, that direction, and find certain ways in which to absorb that damage and also to kind of, you know, create new positive, sustainable solutions for the future.
Okay, very great insight. So, you know, so my next question is going to be around, so we are in a World CSR Congress. You know, CSR is being a beaten down topic. The moment we say CSR, we say, okay, you know what, let's keep some budget for some social activities, some efficiency, or you know, how to do that. It's not a core of the business. But I think it's moved way beyond that. A lot of big organizations, I already used the example of Levi's, Nike, have moved beyond, like, you know, the CSR has, it's not as being efficient or being green is no more a CSR activity. It's become a core of your business. And that's my next question, is that, you know, how you think that, okay, what is the role, you know, when we say, because see, growth is about business, how you're growing your business, how you're growing your revenue, how you're growing your profit. And I remember one of the video of Michael Porter, like he was telling that, growth is, the moment you say growth mindset, it matches with the capitalist, psyche, that, being capitalist, and that's where, if you see most of the country which is being grown, like most of the developed country, they are capitalist country. And he mentioned that, if you be green, and while being green, you keep your capitalist ethos, it works. The moment you tell a company that, you have to cut corners, you have to do this, you have to do that, they will be frowned. But the moment you say, you go green, you may save some money, you may expand your business. That's the one thing interests you. So my next question is about, how do you think that, how far green growth and sustainable development has traveled beyond being just CSR activity? How do you think is it a part of your core business strategy? Of course, your business is in the plastics and, circular economy and all, but beyond that, like, do you think that for most of the companies, is green growth and sustainable development is a core of their business, or it's just a CSR activity?
Very nice question, and let me tell you one thing. Moving beyond CSR to EPR, in the industry terms of e-waste and plastic waste, we are talking of extended producer's responsibility. I slightly differ here. I say now, a step ahead, it's an environment protection responsibility. When you people in India, we are used to only two concepts, either incentivize or penalize. The extended producer's responsibility puts the onus to the people or the companies who put that plastic, who put that products in the market, to collect them back. So this is what was seen as a CSR has now gone beyond that, and it has become the rule of the land. Green and is going to be a fact of life and a way of life as things evolve in our system. The circular economy model is where you take back and then put to reuse, recycle, whatever you can do. So it is going to stay, and people are moving just beyond the talk to the real green growth and the green growth story.
Thank you. Yes, I think in terms of where we are and where the economics of it is moving, I think there's definitely a direction. There is a commitment to where we need to get to and how much we need to cut down in a certain amount of time. So I think somewhere there is that kind of broad commitment to it. But definitely it's a struggle, because you're trying to create a huge amount of change in terms of the system, in terms of the behavior as well. And these behavior changes take a long time to kind of, come into force. So I think while the awareness grows and the demand grows, the companies will also be able to push it further. And in my own experience, I would say, even when we come out with, say, with buildings, when we come out with an energy conservation building code, it's a struggle to make it mandatory right away. It takes some time for the people to warm up to it, right? It's almost been 10 years since people have been slowly adopting it, but it's not mandatory. The government cannot make it mandatory unless there are enough people taking it. Because if everyone rejects it, then again penalizing will not work. So it needs to be paced along with what's possible or what's really doable on ground, and then things can move in that direction. So I think there has been a lot of change in the last 10 years, at least in the building sector, where all of these changes have been slowly being picked up by the builders, by the architects, by homeowners even. And over here I'd just like to mention a little bit about language, which you mentioned earlier, that speaking the right language to different people goes a long way. So if you're speaking to a builder, usually you'd need to explain to them what is their financial revenue. If they're going to put 1% more of the project cost in making it a more sustainable building, they can charge a premium of 10%, right? Or similarly, if you're speaking to an architect or a construction agency, you would say that if you can do this building with lesser resources, then these are the advantages, or this is your bonus, or this is the additional cost I'm willing to pay for you to put in that extra effort and look at all the possible green measures in it, right? So you can charge that premium and make it viable for yourself. And for the homeowners, it's the long run. For the homeowners, you know that you're going to pay that 10% extra when you buy the house, but you know that in 4 to 5 years, you'll have that money back with you. So it's actually not, it's not just that original capex, but it's the opex, the operational cost of your house that is going to save you money in the next 20 years. So, there are various different languages one uses for each of the different, stakeholders. But if you're able to speak the right language, if you're able to communicate the core of that fundamental thought, then they're driven to change, then they're inspired to change or make that change and put in the additional investment and reap the rewards in the long run.
Can I just,
Yeah, please.
go back to the basics, it took 70 years, the courage of a prime minister to speak from the ramparts of the Red Fort about Swachh Bharat. Green growth is an addition to that. When can, like you said, the mindset, jab hum dil mein sach honge, swachh honge, that is perhaps the first step to a Swachh Bharat and a green growth.
Yeah, so it's a very, again, my thinking is that what works? Is incentive works or penalty works? Like, because, government may put some fines, some regulations and everything at the same time, but to change your behavior, like to change your day-to-day life, like you wake up in the morning, you brush your teeth, how long you can open your tap water. From there, I'm just talking very basic. So what works? Whether incentive works or penalty works. Like government can put a lot of fine. Like you see Singapore, which has very penalty-driven country. You can't even imagine, the same guy who is in Singapore, he'll never throw anything on the road, but in India, the moment he comes, the first thing he'll do, they throw it out. So what works? Penalty works, especially from the keeping green economy, green growth, sustainable development. Whether it's what is your opinion about penalizing or incentivizing? How you balance these?
You talked about the Singapore guy coming to India. What about the Indian guy going to Singapore?
Yeah, they behave like, as if their world changed, like they completely behave. The moment they land up in India, they start doing all this.
Yes.
We all are part of it.
So penalty works there, the fear works there. I've been working for the Swachh Bharat mission since 2014. And according to our estimates, and we are on track, the first changes started, forget the 2 years of pandemic. The first changes started around 2022. Almost 8 years down the line, where the mindset change. Human being by nature, you penalize him or incentivize. But the real thing, the real incentivization is going to work, and the real inspiration for that incentivization is through within. When we are working with the children, they are the future. And that's where the story begins. Incentivizing in the long run, penalty. No one would like to be caged in, whatever, mentally or physically.
Thank you. I'd just like to say that on one hand, at the government level, yes, there are both. There are incentives as well, and there are also penalties, right? So for larger projects, I think already there are things that are now mandatory, and you have to comply with certain levels of sustainability. But when we take this issue and we make it larger than that, and we think about it in terms of the environment or the earth, and think of that as whether it's a short life or a long life for this planet, I think that's when we start understanding why it's important, right? Why is it a disaster? Because when we're talking about climate change, it's a very slow-moving disaster that's going to take a long time before suddenly it's going to start having massive impact. And at that time, there's not going to be, that much legroom for us to start operationalizing new and, start changing at that point. So the change definitely needs to happen sooner. But the question is, when do we take it seriously, right? Through incentive or through penalty? Now, there's a lot of disasters, climate disasters that have been happening across the globe. And in a way, that's a penalty, right? It's something that has been done in that area for which there is a penalty that one is receiving. And in the same way, there is rewards, which is essentially our existence that is happening right now, because there is a certain balance that we're still within. We're still within that threshold. So I think there are both. But the point is, when do we react? When do we as people react and take it seriously? When COVID happened, when people start dying, then it doesn't take much time. We're able to very quickly jump up out of our seats, start taking action, make corrective measures without batting an eyelid. So the will is something that has to come from inside, right? And for that, yes, there's a lot of awareness that we still need to do. There are the incentives and the penalties at the government level. But getting the people to move, to demand, to push for this in a more serious way, as though their life depends on it, as though our future generation's existence depends on it, I think that is when that change gets driven faster. That's when we can skip the steps and cut the red tape and get further ahead in terms of where we are now and where we need to be.
Yeah, so I think, actually the personal awareness, and that's what I always tell people, things starts at your home, how you as a person being more responsible of, or how you can cut down a lot of things in your own way, I was in Gurgaon, and when I moved from Gurgaon, everyone asked me, I lived in Bombay for 15 years, then after that I was in Gurgaon, and people asked me, how are you experiencing Gurgaon? I said, you know what, it's a pathetic city because there's a very bad pollution. Either it's a hot weather or in the cold, in the winter time you face pollution. And then I'm in Bangalore right now. And today I was just, yesterday when I came and my friends from Bombay was telling me that the Bombay air pollution is gone worse than Delhi. Like, the AQI level of Bombay is worse than Delhi. So it's all about, as a responsible citizen, that how we be more efficient. And, it starts from, very small things. And I'm very glad to see our youngster, especially the millennials or Gen Z, whatever you call them, they are being more responsible. They are literally thinking about, we were there. I used to tell my dad, your generation has literally screwed us. Whatever the way you used to consume, the way you grow, they had no idea that, it's going to be that bad. But I think things are bettering up. So I'll just round up. I think I have just a couple of minutes left. So I just wanted to, ask both of you, do you have any use cases or anything? I know I have to ask this question because, to Dr. Joshi especially, that, he is from the plastic industry. The plastic, we always think plastic is evil. And some use cases, something where you can say that, how circular economy literally helped, in overall green growth and sustainable development. Please.
I ate that Mentos. This is difficult to recycle. There is a startup in Mumbai who has converted that difficult to recycle into a mobile stand. This mobile stand is made from chocolate wrappers. This is the simplest example of a circular economy. Mera desh badal raha hai, our young friends there. And this startup, he is coming from an IT background. He has left all the luxuries of that IT, sitting in a nice office on some big building, big floor, and put his hand in dirt and created this. This is how India is changing. And no doubt it takes time, but it is going to happen. And circular economy and moving about from that comfort zone, that is the youth of today.
Thank you. That was a really nice example. From my end, I'd just say that, there was a recent project that I completed, a building project, which the clients had been working on petroleum-related products, and they've now reached the end of their lives. They're kind of looking to retire, and at this time, they're also equally aware. It's not only the youngsters that are aware, but the people who were part of the damage are also aware that yes, there have been mistakes. There have been certain processes that shouldn't have happened. But what can we do about it now is what the question comes down to. So for them, they decided that for the rest of their lives after retirement, they're going to now work on organic farming, work on food forests, and they kind of bought a plot of land. They're now doing their organic farming there, and for the building and the structure, they wanted to create something which works with water, works with soil, works with sky, and incorporates all the elements and uses that in a natural way, using the natural ventilation, using natural materials, and creating a structure that is going to respond and be one with nature. So in a way, for them, both, I would say, not just financially, because at that point in their lives, they're not looking to run it on a profit basis. They're looking to give back to help with the right processes, right? So maybe all their lives they were supporting, petroleum company, which is one of the most damaging industries. But they've also taken what they've got from there, and they're putting it into something good, and something that's positive, something that stands out as an example for the future, and which can be used for multiple generations in the future. So that's a way of thinking, I would say, which is really commendable. That is, one way to look at, okay, maybe we've done this much damage, but this is also possible. We can still do things. We're still alive, and we can still make changes and kind of reverse the damage that's been done.
Okay, so that's a great conversation. I think we are just running out of time. So if any of you have any questions, suggestions, whatever, we are happy to take it. We are around. I'll take this recycled, what is this?
Mobile phone stand.
Mobile phone stand. Okay, so I'll really take this as a great example. So very, very great insight, and very thanks to both of you for sharing all these things. And we are around, so if you have any questions, you can always ask. And I can just appeal to each one of you. Maybe you are a student, maybe you are working somewhere. Just think, in whatever capacity, how you can literally try to be more efficient, try to be more responsible. Because you know what, as he rightly said, there is no problem with Earth. Earth has been there. Earth has gone through meteor strike and everything, and all volcanic eruptions, everything. We are at danger. Let's not save planet. Let's save ourselves. Thank you.